Hey BookTube, it's Sarah and welcome back to my channel, The Book Bag. Today I'm doing a library haul. I thought this would be kind of fun to do because I know a lot of other booktubers do book hauls where they talk about different books they've purchased recently that they want to read or that they've already read. And there's a lot of books that I read and I get most of them from the library because if I spent money on every single book I wanted to read, I would be super broke and probably crushed under a pile of books in my apartment. So I thought it'd be fun to do a library haul because I go there every single week to pick up books, and thank goodness that my local library is still open for curbside pickup during the pandemic because otherwise I think I would die. So the first book that I have is The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is an adult fantasy book about a social worker who is sent to investigate an orphanage for magical children on this little island on the sea because the children there are deemed more dangerous than other magical children who live in similar orphanages around the world, or potentially just the States, not entirely sure. The description kind of gives me Umbrella Academy and Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children vibes. It looks super charming. So my next book is The Antidote for Everything by Kimmery Martin. So I picked up this book because I saw that Jesse from Bow Ties and Books really loved it, and they've usually got pretty impeccable taste, so I thought it'd be really interesting. So it's about our main character, Georgia, who works at a hospital as a urologist, and her best friend, Jonah, also works at the hospital. So it turns out the hospital has been turning away a lot of Jonah's patients who are trans or queer, and he is in danger of losing his job, so he and Georgia team up to try and take down the hospital and make it more accessible and welcoming to everyone, regardless of sexuality or gender identity. So the next book I have is Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. I've read a lot of Matt Haig's other books, mostly fiction, and I really enjoyed them, and I did read his other nonfiction, Notes on a Nervous Planet, which I really loved. This is about Matt Haig's struggle with depression and suicide when he was in his 20s, and is pretty much what it says on the cover, Reasons to Stay Alive. The next book I have is Muse by Brittany Cavallaro. So this is like a dystopian alternate history YA book. It features America if America wasn't a democracy and instead had a monarchy, and it follows a main character, Claire. Her father is some sort of like inventor or weapons maker or something, and he thinks that his daughter is giving him powers or like enhancing his gifts. And then the emperor, I think it's the emperor, the leader of the empire, decides to take her for himself so that she can enhance his gifts. I really am not entirely sure what happens in this. I feel like I don't have a great grasp on the synopsis, but it's really pretty and it sounds kind of neat and kind of 1984-ish, despite not being about any of the same things. It's got that dystopian vibe, so I'm interested to see what it's actually like. My next book is Man Enough by Justin Baldoni. Justin Baldoni was an actor on the show Jane the Virgin, so that's where he's most famous from. And this book is about understanding masculinity and redefining masculinity and really trying to get away from those toxic patriarchal ideas of what it means to be a man. I think he also gave a TED Talk about this, and this is kind of like an expanded version of the TED Talk almost, or like a companion to the TED Talk. So I'm really interested to see what he's got to say. So the next three books I have are ones that I picked up for Asian Heritage Month, as well as the Asian Readathon organized by Cindy from With Cindy. And it's like a super simple readathon. I'll put a link in the description or in the cards or something about where you can find that, but it's just like 5 super simple prompts to get people to read more books by Asian authors. So the first one I have is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I think I read this when it originally came out, like 5-6 years ago. 2015, 6 years ago. And it's been a while, so I don't really remember it, but the series is now finished and I wanted to read all of them, so I figured I'd start from the beginning and kind of refresh my memory a little bit. But I think it follows a girl who is a slave and joins up with this rebel faction to try and rescue her brother who's been captured by the Empire or the ruling class. When she meets a soldier who is like the top of his class, the role model soldier for everyone else, and it turns out that he also wants to rebel against the Empire. So sounds pretty fun. I've heard amazing things about the series, and yeah, I'm excited to finally finish it. So the next book I have is I Love You So Mochi by Sarah Kuhn. This follows Kimmy, who really loves to design her own clothes, and she's in her senior year of high school when she has a fight with her parents. She doesn't want to pursue their dreams. She wants to make her own way, and she goes to visit her grandparents in Japan, in Kyoto, for the spring break. While she's there, she falls in love with a boy, and this kind of follows their love story for the 2 weeks, and Kimmy's trying to discover what it is that she wants to do with her life. And the last book I have today is called Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Malinda Lo. So this follows Lily, who is 17 in 1954, and her struggle with coming to terms with her sexuality, kind of breaking into the queer scene at the time, as well as dealing with a lot of racism during the Red Scare because she's Chinese American. So she has to deal with these two facets of her identity that are both very stigmatized at the time. And it's a really interesting historical YA fiction. So those are the 8 books that I picked up from the library this week. Let me know if you've read any of them or if you plan on reading any of them. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.